Every day, 92 million tons of waste is produced by the fast fashion industry. My name is Mylin Beakley, and today we'll be talking about some basic sewing skills and why it's important to learn to sew. One of the biggest reasons you should learn to sew is because it's very convenient. When you wake up in the morning and you throw a shirt on and you're going to an important meeting or something where you need to look your best and a button pops off of your shirt and say you don't have any other shirts, it's really very simple to just be able to get a thread and a needle and put that button right back on. Learning basic sewing skills can also save you a lot of money. I remember that before I really knew how to sew well, I used to have to take my pants that were nicer pants to the tailor because I am on the shorter side and it's hard when you're walking around and tripping over your pants. Also, in my opinion, the most important reason is because it helps our planet. 92 million tons is a lot of waste, and we already have so much plastic. So we're just creating landfills from sites like Shein and Fashion Nova, where they just mass produce items that go out of style very quickly and end up in huge landfills. When I was 7 years old is when I first learned to sew. My grandma had taught me and my siblings because she felt it was an important life skill. Because of that, I soon learned to be able to hem my own pants, alter my shirts to where they fit me better. And now, because of that inspiration and knowing those basics, I went further and got a sewing machine, now creating my own designs and bringing imagination to real life. When you begin to sew, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what size needle and how much thread you're going to be using. The size of your needle is going to depend on the fabric that you're sewing. If it's a thicker fabric, say denim, you want a thicker, larger needle so that it is able to pierce through it easily without you having to put too much on your wrists. And when you are using your thread, depending on the fabric, if it's a stretchier fabric, you'll want to use a stretchier thread. But if it's like denim, you can use a standard thread. When you begin, what you're going to do is you're going to put the thread through this opening and pull it through. And at the top of that, your needle is at the bottom. You're going to want to double or triple knot it depending on the fabric, because when you're pulling and tugging on it, you don't want the knot to be so small that it rips through the fabric and creates a hole. Once you get your needle and thread put together, you're going to want to get a pen or a pencil to just do some simple markings on that clothing to be able to have some guidelines on where you're going to be pulling through your thread, because you aren't always able to see your needle and it really hurts when you prick yourself. Once your outlines are done and once your needle and thread are put together, you can begin to stitch. When you begin stitching, you're going to want to start on the inside of that piece of clothing where it's underneath, and you're going to want to pull through at the bottom of your guideline. Once you pull through, you're going to want to go across to the other guideline. If you were doing pants, your guideline would look like this, and you'd be starting at the bottom. You'd want to take it to the other side and go back into the fabric, and then you just want to keep repeating that all the way up your guidelines. Once you're finished threading your guidelines, you want to just pull everything together, quite literally. You'll pull your thread really tight, and this is why it's important you do a very strong knot. Once you pull the stitches really tight, you'll see that the piece of clothing will kind of fold in on itself. And once you do that, it will look really clean and neat, like it was made that way, not like it was an alteration. Once you have pulled together and created that clean seam, you want to make sure you knot the thread again really tight and really strong, like 2 or 3 knots again, like how I said in when you started. And depending on the fabric is dependent on how many times you want to knot it. And once you're done with that, you're just going to cut off that extra thread and you are pretty much finished. It's really helpful to learn how to sew. I use it on a very regular basis, not just creating my own designs, but just when I buy a new pair of pants and they're too long on me. And it would be really helpful for you to learn how to sew, whether you think it's for the planet or other things.